there's a New York restaurant that is getting rid of tips, or they're stopping the tipping process. And, you know, I got to tell you, tipping is one of those really, really controversial issues, especially because I'm a black man. And so I'll be real honest and 100. People had this whole idea that black people don't tip well, which is not true. And I will be honest, before I even get into the story, I'll tell you my tipping philosophy, right? Because I'm one of those people where I don't think a tip is something that's mandatory, right? I think a tip is based on service. So if you give moderate service or moderate to good service, I will tip you 20% and above. If your service is horrible or your service is, you know, not up to par, you ain't getting anything from me. And there have been times where because I'm an African-American man, and this all leads into this story. Well, because I'm an African-American man and I've been to places, and I'll give a great example. Actually, I should put them on blast for what happened to me there. I would call it eating while black, right? And I won't put them on blast, but I went to a Thai restaurant, and it was only 4 of us at the table, 4 black people, 3 black men and a black female. And nowhere on their menu does it say that we charge a percentage for tipping, or like, you know, there's a service charge no matter who you are. When we get the bill is an 18% service charge. So I say to the manager, why is there a service charge? He's like, oh, what do you mean? Everybody's table has service charge. I'm like, no, that's not true. Because it doesn't. If every table had a service charge, then we would all get 18. You would see it on the menu. You charged us 18% because you thought we weren't going to tip you, and just because of that, after I had some choice words for the manager, who then removed the 18% and said, "Oh, sorry, it was our mistake." After we called him on it. So you know what I did, because I feel as though that it was wrong they did that. And, you know, I think every action should be met with an opposite and equal reaction. So I reacted. I waited for them to clear the table, and I put a penny down in the middle, and I walked out. Yes, that was rude. And yes, it was an insult. But they insulted me. I'm a paying customer. And to be perfectly honest, the service was great. And I was going to give them 25, maybe 30% tip. But because of how they decided they were going to treat me at the end of the process, because they thought I wasn't going to give them a tip because I would argue they had racial tendencies, I chose not to tip them. And I think everybody has the right not to tip. A tip is not something that's guaranteed. If you come to my table with a bad attitude and you don't do the work you need to do, why do you deserve a tip? It's like me going to work and not doing my job. I don't get paid for that, right? You get fired. Either way, this ties into this story because this restaurant in New York City, I love it. I think it's a great idea. It's called Sushi Yasuda. And this is what they do. They charge everybody a 15% service charge. It's tacked onto everything you order. So everything is increased by 15%. And because of that, the customers end up paying just about the same as they'd pay with tip. But the staff gets a living wage. The staff gets benefits. The staff even gets sick days. They get all these things, right? And in return, they give good service. But tips are not part of it. You're not even allowed to tip. You're not allowed to tip them. You're not allowed to tip them at all. A great idea. This is already happening in Europe. And I'm glad that this New York restaurant is starting the process of tipping them. And in there, on the bottom of the receipt, it says, service staff are fully compensated by their salaries and there's no need for your tip. And the manager has said, even if you do decide to tip them, that he will come find you and give you your money back. It has to be the exact change on the table, no more, no less. I like it. You should love it. On to the next story.